Okay, so you guys have really outdone yourselves this time. This is quite the collection of listener submissions.
Yeah.
We've got newspaper clippings, forum threads,
Oh, wow.
even a clip from another podcast.
Yeah.
All about this really eerie story,
Mhm.
the crying boy painting,
Right.
and all these strange tales of a curse and fires in Britain. I mean, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's what we're going to find out today, right?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to
Yeah.
go beyond just the spooky headlines and actually try to understand.
Yeah, we don't want to just rehash the ghost stories or anything,
Right, exactly.
I mean, you've given us a fascinating puzzle here.
Yeah.
And we're going to explore all the pieces
Yeah.
and try to figure out, what kind of picture they make.
Yeah, so okay, let's start with the picture itself, I guess. So
Okay.
from what you've sent in, this isn't some, rare artwork
Right.
locked away in a vault somewhere.
Yeah.
We're talking about a whole series of portraits
Uh,
by this artist, Bruno Amadio,
okay.
back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And they were mass produced.
Oh,
And the one that everyone remembers, the one that's
Uh-huh.
at the center of all this is the crying boy.
Yeah.
So just picture this,
yeah.
this child
Okay.
with these huge, sad, tearful eyes.
Oh, wow.
Tears running down his face, but his mouth is clamped shut.
Huh. Interesting.
It's kind of a melancholic image just to start with.
Yeah.
But then you think about how many of these things there were.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
apparently they were everywhere.
Yeah.
Super popular in working class homes in Britain
Okay.
back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you could buy them anywhere.
Really?
Like department stores, Woolworths.
Hmm.
People even got them as wedding presents.
Wow.
They were just so common.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
Right.
Is that it's so ordinary.
Right.
Like this wasn't some,
Right.
ancient mysterious artifact.
It's-
It was just a normal piece of decor
Yeah.
that people had in their homes.
Yeah, almost sentimental in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And then it gets tied up with these
Right.
kind of disturbing events.
Yeah, and you're right. I think that
Yeah.
that ubiquity, that it was everywhere,
Yeah.
probably helped the story spread
yeah.
so quickly.
Exactly, because everyone knew the image.
Exactly.
So it's easy to connect it to all these different things.
Yeah, it's this familiar object suddenly becomes
Right.
associated with something terrifying.
Yeah. And that's where,
Yeah.
that's where the 1985 Sun headline comes in.
Right. Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. Front
Yeah.
page news.
Yeah, it must have been terrifying for people.
Oh, totally.
I mean, and the story that went with it,
Yeah.
this couple, Ron and May Hall from Yorkshire,
Right, right.
they lost their home in a fire.
It's just tragic.
Yeah, absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
And they said everything they owned was destroyed.
Wow.
But the painting survived,
Oh my gosh.
completely untouched.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Ron Hall described it.
Wow.
He said it was just hanging there watching.
That sends chills down my spine just hearing that.
Yeah.
Just hanging there watching.
Yeah, and that's the detail.
Yeah.
That really captures the imagination.
Right.
Because it wasn't just that it survived.
Right.
It was the way it survived.
Yeah, it was unharmed.
Exactly.
It had some kind of power over the fire.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really strange.
Right.
Because it wasn't just this one case.
Oh, really?
Firefighters all over the country
No way.
were reporting the same thing.
Oh my God.
These crying boy paintings.
Wow.
Surviving fires while everything else was destroyed.
I mean, it's easy to see how people would start
Right.
connecting the dots.
You think instead of
Exactly.
the-
How the superstition would take hold.
Yeah, I mean, you have multiple independent events
Right.
with this really unusual outcome.
Yeah.
This specific painting, surviving these intense fires.
Yeah.
Our minds naturally look for patterns,
Right.
a
Look-
cause.
Of course.
And so the idea that the painting
Yeah.
wasn't just surviving,
Right.
but actually causing the fires.
Yeah.
Maybe fueled by the sorrow of the child
Yeah.
or linked to some tragic story about a child who died in a fire.
Right.
These narratives,
Yeah.
however unconventional,
Yeah.
they offered a way for people to make sense of this inexplicable thing.
Right. Of course, because if there's no explanation,
Right.
your brain wants to fill in the gaps.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's,
Yeah.
a terse or something
Yeah.
supernatural.
Yeah. So, of course, this panic starts to build.
Yeah.
And the Sun newspaper,
Oh,
they're always kind of in tune with,
Right.
what the public is feeling.
Yeah.
They did something really dramatic.
What do they do?
They asked readers
No way.
to send in their paintings.
Wow.
I mean, when you think about it,
Yeah.
that's a pretty extraordinary reaction.
It really is.
Like, they were so concerned
right.
that they were willing to just get rid of these things.
Yeah.
Hoping that it would, ward off further misfortune. And then there was that Halloween bonfire in 1985.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
Hundreds of these paintings
Wow.
all gathered together and burned by the Sun staff.
Oh, wow.
Like this big public attempt to break the curse to stop the fires.
Yeah, you'd think that would be the end of it, right?
Right, like a nice, neat resolution. Like,
Yeah.
we burned the paintings.
Yep, problem solved.
No more fires.
But the fires continued.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, even after they burned all those paintings.
That's so creepy.
Yeah, it really throws a wrench in that whole
Right.
cursed object theory. Makes you
Yeah.
think maybe there's more to it.
Right, and then you have these personal accounts like Claire Douglas.
Oh, yeah. What happened with her?
So this is back in 1992.
Okay.
She bought one of the paintings secondhand. And even though her grandmother,
Yeah.
who seemed to know about all these rumors,
Right.
warned her not to,
Uh-huh.
she brought it home anyway.
Oh, wow.
So this isn't just like folklore.
Right.
This is someone's direct personal experience
Right.
with this painting.
Yeah, and her story,
Yeah.
it adds this really human element
Yeah.
to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, she describes the room feeling cold.
Oh, God.
This unsettling feeling of being watched.
That's so creepy.
And she even heard sobbing
Oh, my God.
coming from the painting.
Are you kidding me?
And then a fire breaks out in her kitchen,
Oh, no.
started by a faulty plug socket.
Okay, so like a normal, explainable cause.
Yeah, a very mundane cause.
Right, but the outcome
Yeah,
is the same as all the other stories.
right.
Her house is completely destroyed, and the crying boy painting is the only thing left.
It's like it's indestructible.
It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you explain that?
It's tough. Because on the one hand, you have this perfectly reasonable explanation for the fire.
The faulty wiring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then you have this pattern
Yeah.
of the painting surviving
Right.
over and over again.
Yeah.
It starts to feel like
Right.
statistically improbable.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there's something else going on.
Right. Or like maybe our perception is just being skewed by,
Right.
the power of suggestion.
Exactly.
Well, and then there's the,
Right.
the more rational explanations, like
Right.
the fact that these paintings were mass produced.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they were printed on some
Yeah.
kind of fire retardant board. I
Well,
mean,
it's-
it's possible.
Yeah. Especially given the scale of production,
Right.
it's entirely possible that they used
Yeah.
materials
Yeah.
that were,
Right.
more resistant to fire
Yeah.
than like normal household items.
Right. Exactly.
Furniture fabrics,
Yeah.
paper decorations, things like that.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you think about
Yeah.
how many incidents there were.
Right.
Like over 50 confirmed cases.
That's a lot.
It is. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe they were printed on fire retardant board coincidences.
Right.
And then you add in the fact that,
Yeah.
even firefighters, like
Right.
people who deal with fire every day,
Yeah.
they were refusing to handle these paintings.
Oh, really?
There's even a story about
Wow.
an engine that wouldn't start
No way.
when a crying boy painting was nearby.
That's wild.
I know, and some firefighters were even
Yeah.
secretly burning the paintings and burying the ashes.
Like they were dealing with something cursed.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
the firefighters' reactions are really telling. I
Yeah.
mean, these are people who are trained to be
Yeah.
rational and practical.
Yeah. In the face of danger.
Right,
They have to be.
exactly. But they were scared of these paintings.
It suggests that they encountered something
Right,
that went beyond their normal understanding of fire.
right. Like they couldn't explain it.
Exactly.
It just adds to the mystery.
It does. And it highlights how powerful these stories had become.
Yeah. So what's the legacy of all this?
Well, you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
that the original prints are hard to find.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
All the fear
right,
and all the attempts to destroy the paintings.
right.
It's really reduced their numbers.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic
It is.
that something that was so common
Right.
has become like
Yeah.
a rare collector's item.
But a really creepy one.
Yeah, but a creepy one, exactly.
Yeah.
And the superstition hasn't gone away either, has it?
No, not at all.
You still hear people talking about it.
Yeah.
Some people are drawn to the mystery,
Right.
unexplained. Others won't go near a crying boy painting,
Yeah.
won't even look at a photo.
I can understand that.
Yeah, it's definitely become a part of
Yeah.
modern folklore.
It really taps into our
Yeah.
fear of the unknown
Right.
and our primal fear of fire and loss.
And that image,
Yeah.
of this painting
Yeah.
surviving these destructive fires,
Yeah.
it's just so powerful.
Yeah. And unsettling.
Yeah, and it just keeps the legend alive,
Yeah.
and keeps people debating.
Exactly.
It's like that line from that Whispers from the Dark episode.
Oh, yeah.
And somewhere on a wall, the boy still cries.
That's such a good line.
I know, it gives me chills.
Yeah, it really captures the mystery.
Right,
And the fact that the story isn't over,
right.
even if the fires have stopped,
Exactly.
the questions remain.
Yes, they do.
The image is still there
It is.
in our minds.
It is. And, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
we've gone from this mass-produced painting
Right.
to widespread panic to this really strange phenomenon
Yeah.
of its survival in all these fires.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and we've considered, all the different perspectives, like mass hysteria and coincidence versus,
Yeah.
these personal accounts that hint at something more.
And it really shows you
Yeah.
how powerful suggestion can be.
Yeah.
Especially when people are experiencing tragedy and loss.
Right, they're looking for answers.
Exactly. And so when there's a recurring anomaly,
Right,
like this painting surviving,
yeah,
it can become a focal point
Yeah.
for all that anxiety.
right, yeah,
And that can lead to
yeah,
these really compelling
right,
narratives of a curse.
even if they're not true.
Right.
So this brings us to that final question for you.
Okay, shoot.
Was it just mass suggestion amplified by tragedy?
Okay.
A really bizarre string of coincidences
Yeah.
fueled by folklore?
Okay.
Or was there something truly inexplicable
Hmm.
captured in those brushstrokes?
It's a tough one.
It is. So think about
Yeah.
the power of belief
Okay.
and the enduring power of fear.
Right.
And ask yourself, what do you think those tears in those glassy eyes
Yeah.
really represent?
That's a great question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
This was a good one.
It was.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about those tears.
Me too.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.